Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taya and this is Taya's Turning Pages. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing well. Today we will be discussing my most anticipated romances of 2023, and I just cannot believe that I'm saying that. I cannot believe that it is almost December at the time that I'm filming this, and I just can't believe that we're already on our way to having another year down pat. That's crazy. This happens every single year where I'm like,
oh my gosh, I cannot believe it's the end of the year.
It happens every year, girl. What are you talking about? Like I said, we're gonna be talking about all of my most anticipated romances for next year, and I have some good ones on this list, y'all, and I cannot wait to get into them with you. Now, we'll be filming other videos very similar to this for the other genres that I read. So we'll be filming my most anticipated thriller releases of next year, as well as nonfiction, and I think I might do literary fiction and women's fiction. I'm not 100% sure yet on that one, but we will see. I'm definitely going to film thrillers and nonfiction though, because I love these type of videos. I love seeing what new books are coming out, and I also just like to get a feel of what other people are interested in and what books can we predict are going to be popular and, you know, BookTok darlings and Bookstagram darlings and Booktube darlings and all that stuff. So yeah, before we get started though, please keep in mind that I do not know the synopsises for every single one of these books. I'm going to try my hardest to give you a brief synopsis and put it in my own words, just because I don't know if you've noticed, if you've been watching my channel for a while, I really don't like to read the synopsises verbatim. I really do like to put them into my own words, just because, I don't know, it just breaks up the video for me. I don't know, but hopefully I'll be able to do that here. But if not, I will just be reading the synopsis from Goodreads. So with all of that out of the way, let's get started. So I'm not going to go into any particular order. I'm just literally going to pull up whichever book I see first. The first book that I have here is Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. So I was actually approved for an ARC for this book, and I do plan on either sneaking it into my December TBR, or I might just wait until January to read it. I'm not 100% sure, but it was set in ARC, which I'm so grateful for. So this is Talia Hibbert's newest release, and this is a YA novel. So I'm really interested to see how different her YA novels are from her adult romances, because I did read Take a Hint, Danny Brown this year in 2022, and I loved Take a Hint, Danny Brown. I thought it was just such a cute, wholesome novel, and I ate it up. The steam in it was great too, but I really enjoyed Talia Hibbert's writing style. So once I saw that this book was going to be released in the new year, I knew I was going to have to add it to my TBR, and that's exactly what I did. And also the cover is just so damn cute. Like, look at that cover, y'all. Look at that cover. It's just so damn cute. So this story does follow two characters, one named Bradley, who is a star football player, and then another character named Celine. And Celine is a conspiracy theory obsessed person, and she's also really big on social media. So I'm assuming she's a content creator or an influencer of some sort. But it does look like these two end up crossing paths one day, and they are forced to work together in order to win this grand prize that I'm sure will change both of their lives, and they'll end up also falling in love along the way. And so this story does have the forced proximity trope, which I love. And I'm assuming this is a mild enemies to lovers, because right here it does say that they must trudge through not just mud and dirt, but also their messy past. So these two do have some history. They do go way back, and I can't wait to untangle all of that and see what went wrong and how these two are going to get it right this time. And the next book that I have here is Take the Lead by Alexis Daria. So I mentioned in my December TBR video, I'm pretty sure, that I was approved for an ARC for this book by the publisher, and I do plan on reading this in December, and I'm so excited to get to this, because if you guys have been following my channel for a while, then you know how much I love Alexis Daria. She is the author of the Primas of Power series, aka Eugemia Ola and A Lot Like Adios, and those are two of my favorite books of all time. So once I heard that this book was going to be, I think, picked up by a publisher, I knew I was going to have to add it to my TBR too. This was, I think, originally released like years ago. I think a publisher recently picked up this book to republish it. This story follows two characters, one named Gina and one named Stone, and I'm pretty sure Gina is a professional dancer, and she's been dancing on this celebrity dancing show for at least like a couple of years at this point, but she really wants to win. I don't think she's ever got like first place or anything like that. She's really trying to brainstorm different ways on how she can finally take home that championship title, and somehow she ends up getting partnered up with this man named Stone, who is also her love interest. And Stone and Gina couldn't be any more different. Stone is actually a reality TV star on this wilderness show. He's very rugged, very rural, and I think he's from Alaska. But like I said, him and Gina end up partnering up, and you just follow them throughout the story of trying to win this dance competition, but also falling in love. And so this just sounds like it's going to be really cute, really wholesome, and I know when it comes to Alexis Daria, she does a fantastic job at writing compelling characters, so I just know that I'm probably going to fall in love with Gina and Stone the way that I did her other characters in her other books. But I can't wait to get to this one in December, like I I said, I love when books and movies have dancing or cheerleading or something like that involved. I am a huge fan of the Bring It On franchise, and I was a huge fan of the Step Up franchise. I watched every single Step Up movie when I was a kid, and I was obsessed. So I know that this book is going to be right in my alley, and it is definitely speaking to me. Okay, the next book that I have here, I'm really excited about because it is a book that is going to be published by one of my favorite romance authors, my queen, Emily Henry. And the book that I'm referring to is Happy Place. I actually already knew about this release because I follow Emily Henry on Bookstagram, and I remember when she posted the announcement for this, I almost fell out of my chair because it was like, oh my gosh, not us getting another Emily Henry book. Like, Emily Henry Hive stays winning and we stay eating, okay? I'm so excited to get to this book because I finished Booklovers this year in 2022, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It's one of my favorite Emily Henry novels. That and Beach Read, the girls, the dolls. We don't know people we meet on vacation. I'm so sorry, not sorry. And so I'm really happy we're getting a new book, and we're getting it so soon. But this book, I actually have no idea what it's even about. I just knew that I was going to get this book once I saw her announce it. So it says here, a couple who broke up months ago make a pact to pretend to still be together for their annual week-long vacation with their best friends in this glittering and wise novel from Emily Henry. Harriet and Wynne have been the perfect couple since they met in college. They go together like salt and pepper, honey and tea, lobster and rolls. Except now, for reasons they're still not discussing, they don't. They broke up 6 months ago and still haven't told their best friends, which is how they find themselves sharing the largest bedroom at the main cottage that has been their friend group's yearly getaway for the last decade, their annual respite from the world, where for one vibrant blue week they leave behind their daily lives, have copious amounts of cheese, wine, and seafood, and soak up the salty coastal air with the people who understand them most. Only this year, Harriet and Wynne are lying through their teeth while trying not to notice how desperately they still want each other. Because the cottage is for sale, and this is the last week they'll all have together in this place. They can't stand to break their friends' hearts, and so they'll play their parts. Harriet will be the driven surgical resident who never starts a fight, and Wynne will be the laid-back charmer who never lets the cracks show. It's a flawless plan, if you look at it from a great distance and through a pair of sunscreen-smeared sunglasses. After years of being in love, how hard can it be to fake it for 1 week, in front of those who know you best? Oh my gosh, I need this book now. I need it now, y'all. Like, I need it. What are you talking about? That sounds so good. So good. And a second chance romance. So I'm already here for it. I'm ready. I'm seated, and I cannot wait to be taken on this ride with Emily Henry yet again. She can do no wrong for me. You hear me gushing about her because, like, this is really how I feel about her as an author. Like, she can do no wrong. She just has a knack for writing witty, funny characters. Her writing is very cheeky, which I love. And I also love how she is so clever with playing into the most beloved romance tropes. I just love how she plays into that stuff, and sometimes she does poke a little bit of fun at it. Nothing demeaning, but she does poke a little fun at it, like, hey romance lovers, this is a trope we really love, right? So I just really love Emily Henry's writing style, love her books, and I cannot wait to pick up this book next year. This is definitely going to be the perfect summer read, and I cannot wait to hopefully be on the beach somewhere reading this book. Okay, so since we're really knee deep in my favorite authors territory, I'm just going to talk about these books. And the next 2 books that I have here are Secretly Yours and Unfortunately Yours by the Queen, Tessa Bailey. So Secretly Yours is the first book in Tessa Bailey's new series called A Vine Mess. And this is a rom-com that follows a starchy professor and their bubbly neighbor and how they clash at every turn. This does give me It Happened One Summer vibes for sure, because if you read It Happened One Summer, then you know Piper is the sunshine. She's very bubbly, very outgoing and charismatic, whereas Brendan is very standoffish and very closed off and grumpy, essentially. So this is already getting a point for me, okay? But looking at the synopsis right here, it does follow 2 characters, one named Hallie and one named Julian. And Hallie has had a crush on Julian since she was 14, but I'm assuming that Julian has never really paid attention to Hallie that much and never really looked at her in that light until, of course, she gets older. Years later, they're both in the same place, and Hallie comes back into his life and is just a burst of color. That's what it says here. Hallie comes back into his life and is just a ray of sunshine, and I'm assuming she shows Julian more to life than just work, 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 and you should open yourself up to love and a relationship and all of that jazz. And the story takes off from there. So I know that wasn't the best synopsis, but like I said, you can kind of gather what's going on here, and I'm just really excited to read this one, y'all. Like, I really don't even care what the synopsis is. If Tessa Bailey writes it, Tay is gonna read it, and that's just period, you know? So can't wait to read this one. And then the second book in this series is called Unfortunately Yours, like I said, and right here the little blurb says, Tessa Bailey returns with this hilarious follow-up to Secretly Yours, in which a down on her luck Napa heiress suggests a mutually beneficial marriage of convenience to a man she can't stand, only to discover there's a fine line between love and hate. This just sounds like it's going to be right in my alley. Need I say more? I don't have to. The next book that I have here is Lunar Love by Lauren Kung Jessen. And so this book is being marketed as an enemies to lovers story, which I'm all here for. This story follows two characters, one named Olivia, who also goes by Liv, and then another character named Bennett. Olivia ends up taking over her grandmother's matchmaking business. The way that this matchmaking business is set up is that her grandmother uses Chinese astrology to be able to see who's a good fit for one another. And so like I said, Liv ends up taking over this business, but unbeknownst to her, she does have some steep competition because there's this new hot dating app that is basically stealing business away from Liv. So I think Liv ends up finding out who is the owner or the creator of this dating app. They basically go toe to toe to see who can, I guess, produce the most relationships. But obviously as time goes on, they end up getting closer to one another and they end up falling in love along the way. So I'm really excited to read this one. This is definitely your quintessential enemies slash rivals to lovers story. Next book that I have here is The Neighbor Favor by Christina Forrest. So I've seen so many of my mutuals posting their reviews for this book because they received ARCs for it, and it just sounds like it's going to be so cute. Once again, look at the cover, so stinking cute. And right here it says, in this heart-fluttering romance by Christina Forrest, a shy bookworm enlists her charming neighbor to help her score a date, not knowing he's the obscure author she's been corresponding with. I love when there's books about books and being an avid reader and loving to read, so I'm really excited about that. But this is definitely giving me You've Got Mail vibes. If you have seen the movie You Got Mail, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. I really didn't care for that romance movie, so I'm really hoping that this book doesn't follow too closely to that, because again, did not like that movie as much as some people did. But either way, the plot and the premise still sounds really interesting, and I can't wait to pick this book up in the new year. The next book that I have here is Zora Books Her Happy Ever After by Taj McCoy. This one right here says, a heart-pounding, curvy romance about an indie bookstore owner who finds herself in a love triangle when she meets the author she's had a crush on for years, and his best friend. Y'all hear how messy that sounds? That's exactly why I added it to my TBR. That is exactly why I added it to my TBR. Why does that sound like nothing but mess? I'm here for it. So I'm going to read the full synopsis because I just need to know exactly what I'm getting into, but we love the drama already. Right here it says, Zora has committed every inch of her life to establishing her thriving DC bookstore, making it into a pillar of the community. She just hasn't had time for romance. But when a mystery author she's been crushing on for years agrees to have an event at her store, she starts to rethink her priorities. Lawrence is every bit as charming as she imagined, even if his understanding of his own books seems just a bit shallow. When he asks her out after her reading, she's almost elated enough to forget about the grumpy guy who sat next to her, making snide comments all evening. Apparently, the grouch is Lawrence's best friend, Reed, but she can't imagine what kind of friendship that must be. They couldn't be more different. But as she starts seeing Lawrence and spending more and more time with Reed, Zora finds first impressions can be deceiving. Reed is smart and thoughtful. He's also interested. After years of avoiding dating, she suddenly has two handsome men competing for her affection. But even as she struggles to choose between them, she can't shake the feeling that they're both hiding something, a mystery she's determined to solve before she can find her happily ever after. Oh my gosh. Yep. I don't even need to say anything else. Just know that this will be one of the books that I prioritize in the new year because, baby, mess, and we're here for it. The second to last book that I have here is called Play to Win by Jody Slaughter. This story sounds like it's going to be really interesting because it is a second chance romance, but it's an unlikely second chance romance because the main character, Miriam, who is really down on her luck and just feels really lost in her life, ends up going to the convenience store one day and she ends up buying some lottery tickets and she actually wins. She hits the jackpot. Before she can claim her money, she has to reach out to her estranged husband because since they're still technically and legally married, he is entitled to half of her money, which, like, woo, but he is entitled to half of her money, so she does have to work something out with him. Obviously they re-enter each other's lives. Miriam really doesn't want anything to do with her estranged husband. She really just wants to work out whatever deal they have to work out so that way she can get her money, he gets his, and they can go on about their lives. But unbeknownst to Miriam, her estranged husband, whose name is Leo, wants Miriam back. And so he's determined to do everything that he can to get Miriam back, and so that way they can get their happily ever after. So like I said, this does sound like a very unconventional and like unique take on a romance, and I'm really interested to see where this story goes. I was browsing on Goodreads last night in order to film this video, and when I stumbled upon this and read the synopsis, I was like, wow, this sounds really interesting. Like, I like how different this is. The characters on the cover do look a bit older than what you normally see on rom-com covers, and I do like to read books that do follow older characters from time to time just because you obviously get a different perspective and just a different outlook on life from a 40-year-old's eyes versus a 20 or under 20-year-old's eyes, you know? So I'm really excited to read this one. This will be my first Jody Slaughter novel. I don't know if she's written anything else, but either way, I'm really excited to read this one. And the last book that I have here that I'm truly anticipating, like all of these books I'm excited for and anticipating, of course, but this one, I really cannot wait to get this. I really want to get an arc of this book, but I just don't know if it's going to be possible. But the book that I'm referring to is Ander and Santi Were Here by Johnny Garzavia. Y'all, this book, It just sounds like it's going to be so poignant, so heartbreaking, and so emotional, but so beautiful. So I am going to read the synopsis because you guys need to get the full 360 that I got when I read it, because this is what really sold it for me, of course. So right here it says, Aristotle and Dante meets The Hate U Give meets The Sun Is Also a Star. A stunning YA contemporary love story about a Mexican-American teen who falls in love with an undocumented Mexican boy. Finding home, falling in love, fighting to belong. The Santos Vista neighborhood of San Antonio, Texas is all Ander Lopez has ever known. The smell of pan dulce, the mixture of Spanish and English filling the streets, and especially their job at their family's taqueria. It's the place that has inspired Ander as a muralist, and as they get ready to leave for art school, it's all of these things that give them hesitancy, that gives them the thought, are they ready to leave it all behind? To keep Ander from becoming complacent during their gap year, their family fires them so they can transition from restaurant life to focusing on their murals and prepare for college. That is, until they meet Santiago Garcia, the hot new waiter. Falling for each other becomes as natural as breathing. Through Santi's eyes, Ander starts to understand who they are and want to be as an artist. And Ander becomes Santi's first steps towards making Santos Vista and the United States feel like home. Until ICE agents come for Santi, and Ander realizes how fragile that sense of home is, how love can only hold on so long when the whole world is against them, and when, eventually, the world starts to win. Every time I read this synopsis, I get chills because, wow, beautifully written, beautifully told. I just cannot wait to read this one. And even though it only has 62 reviews right now on Goodreads, it is sitting at a 4.55, which is phenomenal. All right, y'all, and those are all of the romances that I am anticipating for 2023. Obviously, there are going to be more romances that are going to come out in 2023, and other ones that I just completely didn't even see or notice when I was scrolling through Goodreads last night. But these are the books that have stood out to me that I am really looking forward to reading in the new year. So I can't wait to get my hands on all of them, and I can't wait to share my thoughts with you guys when I finally do read them. Like I said, I do plan on filming my most anticipated thrillers of next year, as well as nonfiction and maybe literary / women's literary fiction. Definitely make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me my channel out. And lastly, please make sure you follow me on Bookstagram as well as Storygraph. I will leave all of that information linked down below, as well as at the end of the video like I always do. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!